Hey guys, welcome to PB Garage. Today I want to introduce you to our new project. I know we have a lot of projects on the go, but what's one more car to work on? So here it is. We've all been working on our 2.7 builds, but I figured what the heck, what's one more 2.7 in the fleet? So when it comes to 2.7s, there's really a lot of options. But the things that came with them from the factory would have been the B5S4 obviously, which is probably the most known platform. But also it came in the C5A6 and the C5A6 Allroad. I'm going to call her Large Marge because she takes up quite a bit of space and the hoist had a little bit of a tough time getting her up this time. And there she is, 2.7T note. So this thing was actually in pretty decent shape when I got it. Obviously I've got it off the ground, I've got the wheels off because I've been going through it trying to identify what needs to be addressed right away. One of the things that I'm going to have to start with is the timing belt service and the water pump especially. The reason I say that is because when it's running it does leak quite a bit of coolant from the front of the motor. I don't know for sure that it's the water pump. So good time to take the front end of the car off, put it in service position, and address all of the things on the front of the motor here. So timing belt tensioner probably, and obviously that water pump, thermostat while I'm in there, and then I'm going to try and see if there's anything else that needs attention right away. Obviously these headlights are in poor condition, they need to be polished. A couple other things that the car is going to need. So these Allroads come from the factory with air suspension, I believe all of them, I'm not too sure, but one thing I was noticing with this car, when it would sit for a period of time, this airbag in the back would leak down. So in a matter of half an hour, this one corner of the car would be really low, and then by the time the next morning, like if it was parked overnight, that front right corner would be fairly low as well. So I'm going to be having a look at all that air suspension. I've never dealt with air suspension before like this, so I'm picking up some used parts and I'm going to try and swap some things around, disassemble some things and see if I can identify where those leaks are coming from. Now the interior of the car is in pretty decent shape. Obviously somebody's replaced the lights in the car with LEDs and a lot of them aren't working. You can see these two are working, but in the front here all of those lights should be lit up and only one of them is. The stereo's out of the car as you can see, because if you have a look here, I think somebody had an aftermarket stereo installed and they hacked that harness all to bits and really made a mess of it. So I'm going to have to clean all that up and figure that out. Other than that, you know, everything's not too bad. But these front doors have been replaced. They're from another car and they seem to be okay, not too much rust. However, the driver's side door, a little bit of an issue with it. So whoever was doing the work with this door installation, when they installed this door, didn't do a very good job of attaching the bolts. They must have cross-threaded or stripped one of the bolts. And you can see here that bolt at the bottom is very loose and it looks like the threads inside the door are moving. So I'm going to have to take off the interior panel on this door, have a look and see what the issue is there. I'll probably end up just with a bolt and then having to install a nut on the back side so that can be secure so the door can operate properly. So what else am I going to do on the car? Well, if you guys are familiar with our channel and you've watched some of our other videos, you may have seen I removed the roof rails from my A4 wagon, and I'm going to do the same thing to this thing because there's just a look to a wagon with a slick top with no roof rails that I think looks great. So I'm going to figure out how to get those things off of here. A little bit different than the A4 because they're mounted in a little bit of a different spot. On the A4 they're mounted in this sort of rain gutter seam in the bodywork. Here they're mounted a little bit outboard of that, but I'm sure that removing them is going to be much the same, where I'm going to have to remove the interior of the car, possibly the headliner, which wouldn't be a bad idea anyways. You can have a look here, you can see the headliner is sagging quite a bit, so I'm going to try and get that headliner out of there, maybe redo the upholstery on it, and at the same time I'll be able to get these roof rails off the car. Now, one other plan that I have for this car that's a little bit more exciting maybe is I want to do a manual swap. I've never enjoyed driving automatics, and the 2.7 especially with a nice O1E behind it is a beautiful thing to drive. So I've already picked up some of the swap parts that I'm going to need to do a manual conversion on this. I've got the transmission, I've got the rear diff, I've got a few of the accessory parts. I do need to collect a few other things, but you guys will be able to tune in later and see me do the manual swap on this. First of all, I need to get this thing through a safety inspection. Here where we are, I have to do this safety inspection every time we transfer the ownership on a vehicle. So that's step one. I'll get this thing through a safety. And then as soon as that's done, we're going to look at doing that manual swap. Now, since that stereo wiring's all hacked up anyways, one thing I want to do in this car is actually build in a little bit of in-car entertainment. Who cares about that?